Dr. Lisa Marie Bobby, and you're listening to the Love, Happiness, and Success podcast. And what we're listening to together right now, this amazing piece of music that I found, this is actually an original Balinese Gamalean recording. I hope I said that right. That was recorded by the Odeon Company on their very first trip to Bali in 1928. It's actually an old phonograph recording that I came across, and it reminded me of today's podcast, which is about mindfulness, and these cool bells and chimes. Just listening to it brought me right back into the present moment. And that's where we're going to be today, is in the present. So I wanted to share this piece of music with you, and I'll play the whole thing for you at the very end. It's pretty cool, huh? Okay, let's get down to business. So today we're going to be talking about mindfulness, which I think is so important, and I am so excited about today's show. I really hope that you like it. And if you do, it would mean so much to me if you would say that on iTunes, or even better yet, subscribe to the podcast, because that way we can keep in touch with each other, and also it will help other people find this show too. So if you enjoy it, help other people find it also by subscribing or writing a review about it on iTunes. And if you say that I put you to sleep last time with my insomnia recording, I will take that as a compliment. So thank you in advance. Well, listen, I am so excited about today's show because mindfulness is incredibly important, and it is also really hard. I struggle with mindfulness personally. It's something that I've really had to work hard at and practice over the years, and I am not a natural meditator. And a lot of times when I begin talking to my clients about the importance of mindfulness, and I can rattle off statistics and articles that I'm sure you're familiar with, that mindfulness is associated with health benefits, lower blood pressure, stress reduction, improved memory, cognition, feeling more relaxed. Like, I could go on and on and on. But every time I do this with my clients, I always get this, yeah, but I hate to meditate. I've tried meditating. I can't do it. It's boring. It's hard. It's a waste of time. And like, people kind of like the idea of mindfulness, but everybody thinks that mindfulness is the same thing as meditating, and that to practice mindfulness means sitting on a little pillow with your eyes shut for like 45 minutes. And who can do that? I mean, some people can do that, and bully for you if you're one of those people. I aspire to be more like you. But what happens to me when I sit on a little meditation pillow and close my eyes is that, yes, I start thinking about stuff, and I know that that's the point of meditation, is to be aware of your thoughts. But at some point, sooner or later, I think, this is so detached from my life. Like, I do stuff. I like doing stuff. I like being active. And I get that it's nice just to have a little check-in and sort of have some quiet time. And I do enjoy that, like at the end of yoga or something, just to have that moment or two. But in terms of like carving out this big chunk of time to be alone with my thoughts that is so removed from the rest of my life, that doesn't feel good to me. And it makes it hard for me to meditate or to practice mindfulness. And so it's so important, though. I wanted to figure it out. And so I started reading more about mindfulness and different ways of cultivating mindfulness in your life that was more just kind of integrated with every day. And so I have found a way to practice mindfulness that works really well for me, and it also works really well for my clients. So I teach this technique to my clients like on a daily basis. I'm teaching this to at least one person, and people receive so much benefit from it. It makes mindfulness so much easier, so much more practical, and so much more just like day to day, as opposed to this like, Zen moment that I think is hard for people and makes it seem like more distant and an alien kind of thing. So today I'm excited because I'm going to teach it to you. So This is so important because in addition to all of like the health benefits and things that we know that are associated with mindfulness, if you just do like a regular Google for mindfulness, I'm sure you'll get a whole mouthful of more articles than you can read on the subject. But what I think is really important and what I see a lot clinically is that mindfulness is the core key foundation of really being able to do much growth work, whether it's trying to feel happier emotionally, or trying to have a better relationship, or trying to be more successful in your life. The basic thing that you need to have before you can have any of those things is self-awareness. You need to be aware of what you're thinking and what you're feeling in any given moment so that you can shift that if you need to. If you're working on feeling happier, you can shift into different thoughts or different behaviors that will improve your mood in that moment. If you're working on having a better relationship, you need to know what's bubbling around inside of you before you react to something that your partner says or does, because that reaction, that immediate automatic reaction that you don't even think about before you do, that's the stuff that starts a fight. And I can't even tell you how many conversations I've had with my coaching clients who really want to achieve more, do more, be better, and they are sabotaging themselves like in these very obvious ways as soon as they say it out loud, but because they don't have a lot of access into what's going on in their heads moment by moment, they just do it without thinking about it, and it creates tons of problems. And so to create change in any area of your life requires mindfulness, again, which is the ability to be aware of what's going on in your head and how that's different from what's going on in the present moment and the world around you. The fancy term for this is called metacognition, which means to be able to think about what you're thinking about and differentiate that from what is happening. So it's fairly simple, but it's not. But I'll do my best to explain it to you in very simple terms and give you some really concrete tips and tools and strategies and ways of practicing this skill and incorporating it into your life. And my hope is that it does for you what it's done for me and so many of my clients, which is making mindfulness accessible and helpful and like a daily tool that you just do and you can rely on it, and it's like the cornerstone, the foundation of just your life experience, as opposed to something that you have to go put on special comfy pants and listen to special music and sit on a special pillow. I don't want to do that to you, because you'll do it like once every 3 weeks and not receive the benefit. So here's how I practice mindfulness. I practice mindfulness by making contact with physical reality. I know that sounds like so simple, it's dumb, but let me explain more. Is that everything in physical reality is always in the present moment. You can't take your phone and throw that into the future or into the past, but your mind can time travel into the future and into the past, and it does that routinely. But you can't do that with your shirt or your pen or the chair that you're sitting on or the floor that you're standing on. Everything around you is always right here, right now, unless you think about it and sort of carry it into the future or into the past with you. I hope that makes sense, but the problem with your mind is that your mind is such an active, dynamic, creative force that it creates little mental movies for you about things that could happen and things that did happen, and it replays conversations in your mind, and it thinks about what you're going to have for lunch, and it thinks about what your best friend says, and it tries to work away as to what did that mean, and evaluating things and judging things and putting labels on things, and really all that your mind does is obscuring physical reality, because while your mind is kind of chittering away, doing all this fabulous creative stuff, it is taking you out of the present moment. When I am visualizing very clearly what I'm going to have for dinner and what that's going to taste like, and then what am I going to do after dinner, I am no longer in the present moment. I'm having dinner in my head, except that's not happening right now. So I'm kind of nowhere. And the things that are happening to me in the present moment go unnoticed because I'm not here anymore. I'm in this little fantasy about what I'm having for dinner. And we humans spend so much of our time and energy in the future, thinking about things that might not ever happen, or if they do happen, are almost certainly not going to happen the way that we're thinking that they'll happen. So it's like really this useless activity unless you're actively planning and like sitting there with a calendar and a to-do list and thinking about, okay, what do I actually need to do in the future? But just these sort of idle daydreams and speculations, or even worse, ruminating about something that did happen, and those things are often kind of bad feeling stuff that we get stuck in, and replaying conversations, and then I said this and he said that, but I could have done that. And, again, that isn't happening. That happened 3 weeks ago. It's done now, except that it's taking up all of this time and space in your head. So, to come into the present moment through physical reality, it is always a sanctuary for you. It can always protect you and be this anchor for you to stop the thoughts, stop getting carried away, stop time traveling, stop thinking about things that make you feel bad or that are going to judge stuff and you'll have bad reactions to it. You can stop all of that when you just connect with physical reality and begin to practice differentiating what is happening now versus, oh, I'm having a thought right now, but that is a thought about something that isn't happening. So I'm going to come back into the present moment and just be with what is. So I've explained this enough. Let me walk you through the technique that I use and that I teach to my clients. We're going to use your 5 physical senses to make contact with physical reality. First of all, we're going to use sight. So just wherever you are, whatever you're doing, if you're walking, sitting in a chair, driving a car, laying in bed, whatever, just open your eyes and look around for a minute and notice what you see, what you literally see with your eyes. Notice the colors, notice the shapes, notice what textures things look like. Just look around. And as you do, notice if your mind wants to judge or evaluate any of that. Like if you're driving a car, you might look at the windshield, and instead of looking at the shapes and colors of the bugs stuck on your windshield, your mind might say, that is disgusting. You need to clean that. It's judging what you see as opposed to just seeing it. So if you notice your mind judging things, your room is dirty, or oh my God, there's all that stack of stuff you need to take care of. Just notice that you're having a thought and go back to what it looks like. And if you have a pile of paper, notice the colors, white, with the creases in the paper, the shape of an envelope, and just look at it. Notice what things look like in physical reality. Next, I want you to listen to the world around you. Right now, you're listening to my voice, so just notice what this sounds like. I could sing you a song, but I'm not going to because it would be torture for both of us. But listen to what it sounds like in your ears, and if you want to, take your earphones out of your ears and just listen to the world. Traffic noises around you, the refrigerator humming in the other room, birds twittering in the trees, whatever it is. Listen to what it sounds like to breathe. Okay, listening. And again, if you notice yourself judging what you're hearing, just notice that. Say thank you. Thank you, mind, for telling me how you feel, and just go back to listening. Then I'd like you to come into the present with your physical sensations. So, usually when I ask people how they feel, they immediately tell me an emotional word. I feel relaxed, I feel tense, I feel something. But notice how you feel, but notice what your body actually feels like. So if you want to tell me an emotional word right now, if I were to ask you, how do you feel? And you say, I feel tense. Notice what tension actually feels like in your body physically. How do you know you feel tense? Do you feel like your shoulders are kind of tight? Do you feel like your chest is kind of tight? That's how I feel when I feel tense. Is that how you feel? Or if you feel relaxed, what is it about your body right now that feels relaxed? Is your posture kind of slumping? Is your belly out? Is that what makes you feel relaxed? And so the point of this is to notice that every emotion you have is a physical sensation. That's why they're called feelings. When you feel sad, you're having a physical sensation of sadness. When you're feeling happy, yes, you're also having thoughts and stuff, but you're having a physical experience of happiness. So notice what your emotional feelings are right now. And also notice how your body physically feels just being in the world. If you're sitting in a chair, feel the weight of your body on that chair. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor. Feel what it's like to have your knees bent right now. If you're laying down, feel the weight of a bed supporting you. If you're walking, feel what it feels like to step and step and step and step. Just what it feels like for your bottom of your foot to make contact with the ground beneath you. Notice what it feels like to have on clothes right now. Just the brushing against your skin. If you have hairs, you can brush on your shoulders, or if you're wearing glasses, just notice what the weight of your glasses on your nose feels like right now. And notice what it physically feels like to just breathe in and breathe out. So many things going on physically that we never even notice. We only notice our bodies if something hurts most of the time. But just notice what it feels like to be in this present moment in your body, being a person. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? If there is a scent around you, positive or negative, and this might be another moment for judgment, but just breathe in and notice what that sounds like. Oh, do you hear the siren? That's the present moment, ladies and gentlemen. Hearing that siren in the present moment, feeling your body, feeling your breath, looking at what's around you. If there's a smell in your environment, just take it in and notice it. If you want to judge it, just notice that your mind wants to do that. Don't judge yourself for having judgment. Just notice that it's happening. If you are in the middle of eating something, that can also be a very rich anchor into the present moment because it combines a lot of senses. When we eat, there's a sight of what you're eating, the physical sensation, the texture of your food, the taste, obviously, the smell, and sometimes even the sound if you're eating something crunchy. So if you're eating, notice that. And then let's just be in the present moment together for a couple of minutes. Let's bring it all together and be. Look around you, chew your food, walk, breathe, hear my voice, other stuff around you, and notice what is happening, which is 99.9999999% of the time, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing is ever happening. You're sitting in a chair, you're driving in a car, you're watching a bird on the, tree branch out your window and looking at stuff and seeing stuff and hearing stuff and smelling stuff. And this is it. This is life. This is all that ever happens. Every once in a great while, something sort of profound or scary or will happen. But the rest of the time, this is it. It's nothing. We eat our cereal, we're watching TV, and it's just like this. And notice what a huge contrast it is to be in the present moment. I mean, really be here in this space where nothing is happening except for physical reality, in contrast to our minds. And think about how much of the time we are sliding out of this present moment into the future, into the past. And let me tell you something. When we go into the future, especially, that is where anxiety happens. Anxiety is when you go into the future and imagine something scary or negative, something to worry about. And because this will sound weird, but your brain can't really tell the difference between stuff that you're visualizing and stuff that's actually happening, you will physiologically respond to the scary thing that you're thinking about in the future the same way that you would if you saw it happen right in front of you. So for example, if you have a super scary thought about being in a car accident and you visualize that all very clearly in your head, your body will react to it the same way as if, to a slightly lesser degree, but similarly as if you were actually in a car accident. You'll start getting an adrenaline, squirt into your bloodstream. All your stress hormones will turn on, your fight or flight response will turn on, and you'll start to feel tense physically. You're going to have a feeling of anxiety that came from that scary thought about something that could happen in the future. And then when your body is like all elevated, your mind also starts to look around for stuff that is dangerous. And I'll probably talk more about this process in another podcast that's really just devoted to anxiety management. But I wanted to share a little bit about this with you today because it's so important. And when you recognize what's happening, it will help you stay in the present and practice that mindfulness. So if you think about something stressful, your mind will kind of attach to that stressful or scary thing. And then you will basically get into this feedback loop where your mind is stuck in a stressful or scary thing that every time you think about it, it turns on your anxiety or stress response a little bit more, which then makes you more focused on possible danger and kind of more hypervigilant for threats. And you will always find stuff to scare yourself with if you go into the present or into the future. And so if you experience anxiety or chronic stress, I will bet you just about anything, but what is happening is that you are going into the future, maybe even most of the time, and that you're spending a lot of time and a lot of energy thinking about stuff that isn't happening right now. So let's try this for a second. I want us to pull it all together. Practice being in the present, but also practice noticing when your mind hauls you out of the present and into something that isn't happening right now. Okay, go. Look around, listen, feel your body, smell your environment. Just be here for a minute until you notice your mind taking you elsewhere. It could be a judgment, could be visualizing something, be thinking about something that you need to do. Just wait for it. Okay, now without judgment, just notice, I was having a thought right now. Notice whether or not that thought elicited a physical sensation in your body. And then notice that whatever you were thinking about isn't happening right now. The only thing that's happening is that you're still driving in your car or walking across a parking lot, pushing a shopping cart, or sitting in a chair. That's it. Nothing has changed. You just had a thought. You may ask yourself, is there a problem that I need to solve right now? Like, is your thought saying, oh, you need to do X, Y, Z? Then, it's important to have a system for keeping track of this stuff. So one wonderful mindfulness tool, believe it or not, that I've found is to have a reliable place to capture things that you think about or that you don't want to forget or that you need to do something about. If it's a list, if it's a calendar system, make sure that you have a place to write all that down, because as soon as you do, you can go right back to being in the present moment, because you don't need to think about that again until it's time to look at your list when you have free time to do something. But other than that, you're okay. You're in the present moment and you can just be here. So let's try it again. Let's be in the present moment and notice what your mind does this time. Look around. Hear what you hear. Feel what you feel. Where did your mind go? Just notice it. Just notice it without judgment. And here's the trick. You don't have to do anything with your mind at all. You don't have to stop yourself from thinking anything. You don't have to think about particular things. You just have to notice, oh, I'm having a thought right now. And then as soon as you become aware of that, the next thing is, I'm having a thought right now about something that isn't happening. What's happening right now is that I am XYZ, and come back into the physical moment where you are safe. Nothing bad is happening to you. Nothing bad is about to happen to you. You're just breathing, minding your own business, being quiet, listening to a podcast. That's it. This technique is super duper useful if you are working on having a better relationship with your partner, because what happens is that we react to our partners. So your husband or wife says or does something and you judge it. You make some kind of meaning for what they're saying or doing. He doesn't care about me. She's yelling at me. She's upset with something. So that's the judgment. You label that. I'm being attacked right now. I'm being criticized right now. I'm being ignored right now. That leads to a bad feeling. And then we react and we respond to our partner from that feeling. And when we do that, it is almost invariably a negative response that then perpetuates the cycle and leads them to respond more negatively to us. So practicing this mindful skill allows you to come into the present moment and notice what's actually happening when you're interacting with your partner. So if your husband is talking to you, notice what his beard or hair looks like, and his eyelashes, and the color of his eyes, and the color of his shirt, and hear the sound of his voice as he is talking to you. And notice if you don't like what he is saying to you, you can think, okay, I'm having a thought about what he is saying to me right now, but what is actually happening is that I'm hearing his voice, I'm looking at his face, and I'm noticing that in my body, I'm starting to feel tense, I'm starting to feel anxious, I'm having a pit in my stomach that's making me feel kind of sad, but I'm just going to come right back into the present moment and breathe and be here now and do my best to listen and stay calm. And when he is done talking, I'm going to remember that I love this person and I want him to know how much I love him. So I'm going to talk to him about his feelings for a little while, because I am aware of my own feelings. And I know that helping him work through whatever he's feeling right now and helping him feel like I love him and understand him and care about what he's feeling will de-escalate him. And then I will also have the opportunity to share my feelings with him. But coming back into the present moment is the actual key skill that you need in order to be able to do that. Without mindfulness, fights just flare up out of nowhere. It's like match to flame. You don't even know why you're mad. It's all of a sudden you guys are yelling at each other, slamming doors, or walking out. And so to be mindful gives you the power over yourself and over your own reactions. So this mindfulness practice is extremely important there. And also, if you're trying to do stuff in your life, achieve goals, or stay on track with stuff, incorporate better habits, or feel like you're actually making progress towards long-term goals, mindfulness is really key. Because when you practice mindfulness and you're in the present moment most of the time, and you know what you have to do, and you know what your plan is, when you're practicing mindfulness, you'll be able to also notice when your mind is drifting towards something else. You'll begin to hear that little voice of the saboteur that says, we don't really have to do this stuff today. Wouldn't it be fun if we did X, Y, Z? Or, you know what? You exercised yesterday, so you don't really have to exercise today, do you? You'll hear this little voice in your mind, and that's the one that messes you up. So if you can come back into the present moment and just say, I hear that voice right now. I'm aware of it. I'm also aware that I'm in the present moment. And even though I'm having a thought and a feeling, I don't have to obey that. I can decide to work my plan right here in the present moment. So I'm going to go unroll my yoga mat, or I'm going to go turn on that workout video, or I'm going to not eat the cheesy crackers that this little sinister voice inside of my head is encouraging me to eat. But without mindfulness skills, you're not really aware of the content of your own mind. And so these little thoughts and feelings that are so subtle and so quick will derail you over and over and over again. So by practicing mindfulness and staying in the present, you'll be aware of when it's happening, and then you can make a choice as to what you want to do about that in the present moment, as opposed to just kind of mindlessly reacting. So mindfulness gives you power over so much stuff. It gives you power over your mood, it gives you power over your relationship, and it gives you power over your day-to-day choices that will determine whether or not you're creating success. It is so simple. It's just being here now by using your physical reality as an anchor. It doesn't require any special equipment. You can do it while you're doing anything else, while you're doing your work, while you're sending an email. Notice what the letters on the screen look like. Notice what the keys under your fingers feel like. Notice the sound of the keyboard clicking. You can do this all day long. And when you do it, you are going to be in a safe place. You're going to be present, you're going to be productive, and you're going to feel okay because you won't be at the mercy of these thoughts that would just kind of bubble up and hijack your day. You'll be on top of things as soon as you do this. So here's another little tip, and then we'll be done. But one thing that I often do, I keep a little bowl of pretty rocks in my office, and so I often will give one of these rocks to a client and say, what does this look like? What does it sound like when you tap it on something? What does it feel like with your fingers? And then I have them put this little rock in their pocket and take it with them. And throughout their day, every time they feel that rock in their pocket, it's a reminder for them to come back into the present moment and just notice what is actually happening right now, because it's so easy to get just lost in your mind that you forget to be in the present moment. That's actually what happens. And another thing that I encourage people to do, and I've actually done this myself, when I've noticed that I'm kind of slipping out of the present more often than I'd like to, I'll set a little timer on my phone to go off maybe once every 2 hours. And every time it does, I just notice what's happening now. And I turn off the alarm. I just kind of look around. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I feeling? And that's all I have to do with it. Noticing, oh yeah, I was just totally lost in this 15-minute fantasy about being on vacation next summer in someplace. And that's not happening right now. But that little alarm on my phone is just it just sort of cuts through whatever mental haze I'm in, and just as that reminder to come back into the present, where what is actually happening right now is, nothing, and be here now. And it just, again, helps you create that contrast between physical reality and what's happening in your head. And again, when you do this over and over and over every day and practice being in the present moment, it will start to feel a lot easier and a lot more natural. And it's just how you experience your life. And when that happens, you will notice a dramatic decrease in the amount of stress you feel, in the amount of anxiety you feel. And it's that prerequisite to having more love, happiness, and success just in every area of your life. So I really hope you try these techniques that I've shared with you today, and I hope you experience as much benefit from them as I have and that my clients have. So if you do, or if you have any comments or questions, get in touch with me. I love to hear from people. So you can contact me through my practice website, which is www.growingself.com, or through my blog, which is drlisamariebobby.com. You can also get in touch with me on Facebook / Dr. Lisa Bobby. I'd love to check in with you there, or tweet at me if you have a thought or a comment or even a question about the content of this podcast today, or something that you'd like to hear about on another episode. I like to make podcasts fit to order, so if there's something that you want to learn more about, just tell me what that is and I'll do my best to accommodate it. So also, if you haven't already, be sure to go to my website to sign up for even more free materials that I have for you. If you like this podcast, you might be especially interested in some materials that I created that will help you use present moment awareness to go to sleep specifically. And you can find those at drlisabobby.com / sleep. And there you can download these free recordings. They're like guided visualizations that I've made that will help you stop that like chattering in your mind that'll keep you up at night and help you fall asleep much more quickly and easily than you would if left to your own devices. So check that out. And so I will be back next week with another episode of the Love, Happiness, and Success podcast. And now here is this wonderful piece of music again. And again, this is Gender Wajang of Kuta. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's who this recording is attributed to. The name is Pamunka. And again, it's a Balinese recording from the Odeon Company from 1928. And as you listen, be sure to practice all these wonderful mindfulness skills that you've just learned. Use this song as an anchor into the present moment and just notice what happens. All right, have fun, and I'll talk to you soon.